Thanks again for staying with us on the program TMR Monday. Now, a major talking point is the recent development as it relates to the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad. Some say it's been disbanded. Others say, well, there's some new directive as to how it should operate. But before we go into all of that, we want to examine the activities of this outfit within the Nigerian police force with a view to ensuring that you make sense of the conversation. I'd like to thank very especially one man who has been at the forefront, kicking against these activities as it relates to abuse of human rights, the founder of One Love Foundation, Patriot Patrick Osage Eholo. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, viewers.
We also have with us in the studio a legal practitioner who is the legal advisor, NBA Benin branch, Barrister Daudu. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We have with us in the studio a political scientist. I'd like to thank very especially the erudite Neville Obagedu. Is a lecturer. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, viewers at home. ITV, thank you for having me this morning.
Peter Patrick Osage, let me start with you. Let's look at examining what has been the major line of complaints by Nigerians against Sars. Is it that they're not meeting up the yearnings and aspirations in terms of fighting crime and criminality? Let's start off with you.
Well, I think it has to do with so many factors, you know, and I'm also very happy that a legal practitioner is in our midst today, so he can perhaps, share lights in this area that we're going to discuss about. I'm also very happy to have my brother in the panel, the lecturer, too. I mean, we can extract these things and really, go somewhere. First of all, let me thank you for inviting me and thank the viewers to tune in to watch ITV today. About 2 months ago, I think I went to Abuja and I told the Nigerian police to resign and apologize to Nigeria that he has failed in his duty. Because, we accept nonsense in our society, and we as citizens determine those who pilot the affairs of us. And I think that it is really unimaginable to have people on the disguise of SARS. We have notorious talks. They're notorious talks because the citizen was more afraid of the SARS than the police. I mean, what they have been doing is despicable. How can you treat someone like an animal? Even in an ideal society where you want to kill an animal, you kill that animal with decency. You can see videos that have went viral. And I'm also, very disappointed with our vice president for coming out shortfall, because it is not now you are commending the Nigerian police for doing something they ought to do. There's nothing tremendous for what the Nigerian police have done. I always think that these people are have not really failed Nigeria, but they also need our prayers. They are sick people. Because somebody who is not sick cannot meet that treatment to a fellow human being like you. We've never been treated well. Police are supposed to protect lives and property, but we are now afraid of the police. What right did you have to stop any citizen? I mean, there's one laughable something that happened about a few months ago too. When a young lady was arrested, she was searched, her phone, where she was violated because her phone was searched without a proper search warrant. And the police come with an assumption that they saw some pictures that she was kissing a girl, that she's a lesbian. I mean, is that your official duty? How did you just look at phone and decide that somebody is a lesbian? And even if she's a lesbian, that's a prerogative. That's not what you are out there to do. So we've been abused by the police. And I am sure that the police are gradually getting it. That if they cannot longer protect us or provide all the security that we need, we'll have no choice than take a self-help.
Okay, let me pause you there. Barrister Sonny Daudu, let's look at the underlying currents for this latest decision by the IGP. Have you had the opportunity to have to go to have an engagement with security agency just to be able to maybe bail somebody or something? Let's get to that.
Well, thank you very much. Let me first of all establish the rules of engagement of SARS. What the IGP has done was to resituate the SARS another tactical detachments of the police. Their business ordinarily is not to either be patrolling or harassing citizens. The fundamental rules of engagement of SARS was a response unit to distress call. That is, SARS were actually put in place to ensure that when there is a distress call from citizens, they will proactively react to arrest such situations. But of course, over time, they deviated from that rules of engagement and inflict injuries and undermine the fundamental human rights of citizens by violating their rights to personal dignity. I think that is what the Inspector General of Police has now done by coming out publicly to stop them from engaging in such activities. But what is important to us is that the fundamental principles of human rights as enshrined under the constitutions have over time been violated by the police authorities, including the SARS. But again, the government have not actually taken a decisive positions on such violations. As you have rightly argued, I'm a lawyer. We have personal and constant engagement with the police. And I will tell you, it is not friendly. It is not friendly. You see, it is on paper that bail is free. It's not free in the police station. And even when minor offenses that are ordinarily bailable are committed by citizens, you see, for instance, recently, I was at the station. A person was alleged to have stolen a phone. The phone was recovered and all of that. But if you look at the huge amount of money the police authority were demanding for the release of a phone of about 10,000 naira, then you wonder what their roles are. A person who possibly stole a phone of 10,000 naira, it means that he doesn't have 10,000 naira. That is why he stole the phone of 10,000 naira. Because if he has, he will buy. Then you tell such a person to bring 200,000 naira for bail. Then you further impoverish, you further subject the person to untold hardship.
Okay.
Of course, we do not encourage criminalities. Yeah. We do not encourage acts that are capable of denting the image of the society. But of course, we must also have a human face in our activities. But the SARS, of course, they have the check now. We hope that it will not just be a statement, but it will be follow-up to the latter to ensure that the activities are being monitored, to ensure that they don't return back to the streets by harassing individuals who... Again, let me just digress a little. There was a day, a friend of mine, the wife gave birth to a son. So he was happy. Other than jubilations, he invited some of his friends to an eatery. The SARS just get there and arrested all of them. Free persons, citizens, they have to sleep because it was in the evening. They slept at the station.
From celebration to detention.
Even when they are attempted to explain that we are just here for celebrations, they were arrested, they were bailed while we saw some sort of money. So
humiliated.
They were humiliated. A man was celebrating. He couldn't even see the wife who just, because he wanted to at least show off that the first child he had was a girl. Now he has a boy. So the man was overwhelmed with celebration. But he slept. He slept in the police station.
Maybe part of the price he has to pay for the arrival of his new baby is
traceable to them. There was no offense. They were not accused of anything.
Okay, let me pause it there. Neville, I don't know if you have different perspectives on this background as to how SARS came into existence, their activities. What the original intention was for the creation of SARS?
First and foremost, when a department or an institution of the state like the police is established, some of the problems that confront the society will determine the units and special squad that will be established. And SARS in this context was established as a special squad to tackle the issue of armed robbery. Now, we have discovered that any problem that we have in the Nigerian society is the problem that Nigerians created by themselves. And so Nigerians will also find solution to the problem. Today, for example, we are taking the issue of Sars as a cause of debate. The question is, other institutions of the state, are they not also involved in crime like the police? Even though they don't carry arms, they don't shoot people, they don't brutalize people, in their own various institutions, Nigerians, are they not, because of their activities in their various offices, are they not part of why Nigeria is referred to as a criminogenic state? So the way the society is the kind of police that they have. So let's take the issue of SARS very critically just now. If a policeman that is assigned to that special unit to carry out the functions of the state as contained in the rules of engagement, what are you expecting when a policeman violates that rule of engagement? The policeman is supposed to be brought to book for professional misconduct and be punished, so that it will serve as a deterrent to others whom they like to follow. But what we have discovered, like what we see in America the other day, they were talking about George Floyd and several others who have been killed, even thereafter. And you see the way and manner the charges against these policemen are filed. And in most cases, the perpetrators are not brought to book. And if they are going to be brought to book, they are going to be brought to book on minor offenses and charges. I will give an instance. On the second day of January 2015, I got a call that my mother was not well. My younger brother, that is a soldier, got the call before me, so he arrived Benin. I said we should go home. Before he arrived Benin, they called me. So I said, let's drive through bypass here. We got to a place, we saw special anti-robbery squad. They were on the road there, they stopped me. My brother was on Mufti. They asked me for my particulars, I gave them. They asked me for driver license, I gave them. They said I should open the boot, I opened the boot. All the things that they were looking for, I gave them. Because I was pressed, I said, let me ease myself. I just got close to where they parked their Hilos Jeep. The next thing, I heard the one police constable telling the inspector there, ASP there, along this bypass here, where you are going towards Auchi or go towards Wari. He said, come, this man is reading what is written on our vehicle. I was reading what was written on the vehicle. That was what he was saying, and I was urinating. The next thing, they just came as I was about to enter the vehicle. He said, you are not driving. The police will drive this vehicle to the nearby police station, which is Aho. I said, you cannot drive this vehicle. What is the problem? He said, you must tell us the intention of reading what is written on the vehicle. So my brother now came up and said, come, I'm a soldier. We are going to go and say our mother that is not well. He said, you are not a soldier. Can you identify yourself? My brother then brought out the ID card. He was showing the policeman. The policeman was dragging the ID card from him. So my brother said, no, I will not allow this. So that matter landed at the station, and they went to detain us at Egba police station. And I heard one policeman there say that if we had slept in that station, they would have killed me and my brother that night and dumped us by the roadside, says armed robbers. But I was quick to reach out to our fellow civil society people. Some of them may be watching now, to say that look at what is happening. In case you did not hear from us again, then you know that police under Egba division at Tahoe have assassinated me with my brother. That was how we escaped. So we took the intervention of the commissioner of police then, to call the DPO to say the people that you illegally detained, go and release them. That was how we escaped. Maybe we would have been part of the people they'll be showing their video now that will be brutally murdered by SARS. But the reason why SARS officials are engaged in misconduct, collecting phone for people, carry POS machine, collecting money from banks and the rest of them, is because the disciplinary machinery of the police that's supposed to discipline them is encouraging them. It is not hard enough to bring those who have destroyed the name of the police to book. And it is a very bad omen. It is a negative pass mark on the Nigeria police. Right. I would believe that with the action of the Inspector General of Police just now, the SARS and the police in general will save their name from shame and indignity and the way they have been treating fellow Nigerians.
All right, thank you very much. It's the TMI Monday, X-ray new directives by Sars. Those are the key points on the screen now. The 10 things you need to know on the position of the IGP on FSARS others. Not like the unit or the command has been banned, like many people want us to believe, but there are some strict directives given to them right now, which you're seeing on the screen, and you need to write them down so you'll be aware. That seems to be part of the challenge. Let me come to Petrot Osage Eholo. What do you make of this new directive?
Well, you know,
it's not the first time.
Yeah, but you know,
is there something unique about this new directive?
No. If you look at our discussion here, it's like it was planned that we are related. We slept in the same bedroom, which is not true, of course, okay? Yeah. It is what just happened every other in society. Listen, I have always said it, that if you cannot trust a messenger, you can't trust his message. Yeah. For me, I don't trust the Inspector General of Police, that they have no respect for him, because we've disbanded the roadblocks several times, and today you still see roadblocks. We've said that the police should be taken out from these politicians who had enslaved us in the past, and we need more police to police our people in the streets. But still, the politicians still have about 8, 10, 15. Perhaps some divisional police stations don't even have enough manpower for police that an individual will have in a society. So I, for one, any other Nigerians can believe the Inspector General of Police. No disrespect to your office, but I don't believe you. Because if you cannot trust a messenger, you can't trust his message. I do not trust any of this. I'm talking about SARS. It's not only SARS we're talking about. We're talking about the entire police. You see, again, we are blaming the SARS officers who have become thugs in the street, killing innocent citizens. But we must blame the presidency and blame the IG of police. Because it's not just enough to blame these thugs in the street. Because these thugs have directives from people. I have a business, you know that. You have a business to do here. You represent the interest of your CEO here, which we have a lot of respect for. So if you are doing anything today, you must be very mindful that if your boss comes to realize that what you are doing is contrary for what he has instructed to do, you're going to be in trouble. And there'll be, you'll be reprimanded for that, okay? Yeah. So now, I'm saying this, and whatever they can do, let them go and do it. The Inspector General of Police have a return from these bandits. The Commissioner of Police have a return.
There's no way we can establish that.
I don't care how I can establish it.
Just hold on.
I can't establish it, Sonny.
Just hold on.
I know, just hold on.
Just hold on. Hold on.
Yes.
You know, we have.
But this is very annoying because a lot of people have died.
Hold on. We have rules. We have rules. Of course.
Sympathize with people that died before the police.
Can you just calm down?
I don't care about them.
Can you calm down for a moment? You see, we have rules of engagement because we also have regulators. Like he said a while ago, part of you acknowledge that part of the problem is that those who are supposed to discipline the offenders are not doing their job, okay? We also have rules of engagement. We have those regulations. You know, there are things that we cannot put in the public space there without substantiating them.
I respect that. I can substantiate it.
Yes.
So that's whatever I say, I can substantiate it. But because the NBC too have not been doing, I'm very fair to people.
Let's try and stay on course.
Okay, I'll stay on course. I'm saying that. Of course, because I've met police severally. Police have pointed gun on me severally. And I've asked them, why are you doing what you're doing? They say, well, we're not paid adequately. We don't have barracks. We don't have petrol vehicles. We don't have fuel. So what we do, we put pressure on the society to give us money to fuel our cars. And that's what I'm saying. So I can substantiate that. And they want to sue me. They can go ahead and do that.
Okay. Let me just take this point. The IGP has banned federal SARS, STS, and RT from routine patrol on the streets. You see this banner on the screen. You saw it a while ago, but we just put it there so you can appreciate some of the key issues that has been at the front burner in this conversation. IGP has also banned FSARS, SETs, and IRT from conventional low-risk duties, stop and search, checkpoint, mounting of roadblocks, traffic checks, etc., with immediate effect. These are some of just about 10 points altogether. I don't want to go through all of that. You can just read them for yourself as you have them on the screen. Let me come to you.
Can I just say something, please?
Yes.
Now, I need to control my emotion. I realize that. Yeah. But you can just
very few minutes ago, you have a responsible lecturer with his own brother, who is a military officer, who defends our country for us.
Yes.
If it wasn't for God's grace, there would have been smoke. And you think I'd be happy about that?
No, nobody's happy about
I
that.
can't
That's
be
why we're
happy
talking about it now.
Yeah.
But Barrister, let me get you in here. These are new directives that SARS and what have you can only respond when they are called upon. This attitude of being on the street, roadblocks, searching phones, searching pants, searching all kinds of things. Yeah, because they search everywhere.
Everywhere.
They want to get whatever they are looking for. I don't know. How sustainable is this? Because that seems to be the issue. He talked about, no more roadblocks. We hear things about bail is free. We hear that they are not supposed to do this, they're not supposed to do that. How sustainable is this statement that has been put out enough guarantee for the people to take the IGP seriously?
Well, it's a directive. It's expected that when the IGP gives directives to his subordinates, ordinarily they should obey it. But it goes beyond the directive in itself. When the directive is given, it should also be monitored to see whether or not the persons whose the directive is directed towards are actually complying. Because the non-compliance of the directive will make the directive in itself nugatory and of no effect. So to me as a person, I will believe that the IGP has given a directive, and the subordinates, the police officers, should also take heed in that. But what must be stressed is that apart from the directive, I think a monetary task force should now be put in place in all divisions to ensure that there is compliance with this. As I've said earlier, the SARS were not established to patrol streets and all of that. No, they are a distress cause unit. When there is armed robbery, when there is kidnapping and all of that, these persons are called into questions to quickly arrest the situation. They were not established to patrol the streets, to mark road blocks and all of that. That is not the issue. So they have deviated from
their core mandate.
From their core mandate. Now, the directive is now situating them. It is not enough, as I said, to give directive from Abuja. It must be enforced in all units. For instance, we have DIGs in the C zones. We also have AIGs in all, especially some states. So all of these should now dovetail into the commissioners of police down to the divisions so that these persons can now be fully monitored. Well, of course, you see, the challenge we have is that there are trouble spots in the various parts of the country where kidnapping raise their ugly heads. These persons are never sent there. They terrorize citizens in the states. So we are hoping, of course, that they will be redirected so that the citizens can have a sigh of relief from the anti-democratic practices of these police authorities. Because, of course, the citizens of the states have the freedom of movement. Especially, of course, in this democratic era, any violation of that is actionable. But the problem we have is that there are directives, people flout them and they are not being punished. So it is possible for you to insinuate that there may be another tune to such behavior. If, for instance, I'm a head of an office and my subordinates are not doing the instructions, are not following the instructions laid down, I should have the rights to actually question them or bring them to book to answer for their answerable conduct, which of course violates the tenets upon which their offices were established. So if that is not done, you can give a leverage to any citizens of this Federal Republic of Nigeria to insinuate that there are underlining issues that makes these things to continue to be raising its ugly head. So it is not out of place if people insinuate. If people insinuate, they are insinuating based on what they have seen,
based
what is
on
operational, based on the realities of ground. So they insinuate. But the police authority now must therefore now put themselves out of these situations by ensuring that even those that have been accused should be tried through their orderly trials. They should be tried. Police authorities, either SARS or the tactical force unit, who have been alleged to have violated human rights or the citizens as provided for under the Constitution, should be punished, should be tried. And if found guilty, of course, the police have punishment for each offense that is committed by its servants. So, to me, the citizens of the state should take the police statement, the IGP statement seriously. But when we continue to question that, if they fail to ensure that not only statement, but it's being implemented, it's being enforced to see that those SARS are taken away from the streets.
Okay, let me pause you there. Thank you. Nabil, it may look as though we don't even appreciate the good guys amongst the federal SARS, as it were. And also we perhaps not appreciate the effort some of these guys have made, sacrifices made to stem banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, and other vices that have bedeviled this country. And in any case, as bad as some of these activities are, may have also helped them in one way or the other to actualize the dream or the mandate given to them in arresting criminals.
Well, it would be wrong for anybody to think that we don't have good guys in the police or we don't have good guys in SARS. It would be very wrong for us to say so. Because on a daily basis, we see on the screen of our televisions, on the pages of newspaper, and even from the echoes of our radio, news report of how criminals, armed robbers, kidnappers, even terrorists, pirates are apprehended by the police, especially the SARS unit. But beyond the arrest, what happened to the prosecution of those that have been arrested? The diligent prosecution that will make them to be brought to book. I've seen on several occasions persons that have committed crimes, crime of armed robbery and other related violent crimes, that would have made them to be remanded in prison until judgment is passed on them by a competent court of jurisdiction. Maybe 3 months after or 2 weeks after, you still see these people on the street. Those arrested by either federal SARS or state SARS. What happened to the statement that they made and the confession that they made? The police, those in charge of the investigation, when they are brought to the office, they have done something that set them free from that crime. And so you see that the pool of criminals, especially violent crimes as related to armed robbery and the rest, they are on the increase. Now, talking about good guys in the Nigeria police, I will still give another example. We have a commissioner of police in Edo State. The other day, my younger brother came to my house to say that they went to work in their pastor's site and policemen came there to arrest them. Took them to police station, area command at Ekadolo. And that they are going to detain them till on, that day was a Saturday. They said they would detain them till on Monday. And I said, no, let me go to the station to go and find out what actually happened and see whether there's something I could do about it. When I got to the station, I met a particular police inspector. He said he has already spoken with the family of the pastor that they should go and bring 40,000. Bring 40,000, otherwise they will stay there till that Monday. And I said, well, you know that issue of land is not within the jurisdiction of the Nigeria police. And in this case in particular, there was no case of arson, no destruction of property there. So you have to allow them to go to court to go and challenge themselves over the ownership of the land instead of unlawfully detaining somebody. He said, I was just saying my own that he's acting on the instruction of the area commander. And I insisted that I must see the area commander. I said the area commander was not around. I later learned that he traveled out of the state for an official assignment. I said, okay, I will call the commissioner of police to tell him of what you are telling me here. He said, call the commissioner of police, call the commissioner of police. And I had to call the commissioner of police. And the commissioner of police, before I finished my statement, he was angry. He said, give the phone to the policeman and let that your person be released immediately. I give them 5 minutes. And the commissioner of police, he is still the city commissioner of police in Edo State. He called me back to say, have they released your brother after 5 minutes? and the man was released without anything.
All right. Nabil Obagedo, thank you for those views that you expressed. We also have joining us from Abuja the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Ajuri Ngalame. Ajuri, thank you for joining us on TMI Benin.
Good morning to you, my dear brother, and good morning to the great people of Edo State. It's a privilege to be with you.
All right. There's been a whole lot of reactions towards the new directive given to Sars. What do you make of this new directive? This is not the first time such a directive is coming forth.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, it's very important to note that it's very important for us not to ensure that we do not impugn or in any way denigrate the great sacrifices and work that has been done by real and committed members of the Nigeria police force as it relates to obviously some Sars officials who have saved innocent Nigerians from robberies and killings around this country. I think we should not paint everybody with the same brush. But let me say that there's no doubt that there are very real and serious issues around criminal conduct on the part of SARS officials and, of course, members of the Nigeria police force. It's a real problem and it's being dealt with. Let me say very quickly and specifically that the ban is just step one. This is not a solution. This is not the solution to the problems we face, not by any means. And none of us believe that that is the case. Yesterday, His Excellency, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, called in the Inspector General of Police out of his house to the villa to get an immediate briefing, not just on the ban, which was placed on stop and search operations and patrols by not just SARS, but the SRS, the IRT, the anti-cultism squad, and others in the immediate term, but also for the IG to report back to the Vice President later this week with a very clear and tangible set of reform steps. These are tangible reform steps that would ensure that all of these things, that we're not coming back 6 months from now to be talking NSARS again. Okay. The previous reform effort was under a previous IG, and there's no doubt that during the transition of leadership within the police force since then, there has been a loss of prioritization of this issue of SARS reform and all of that. So now, obviously with recent developments, given the fact that this weekend you had a fake news story, it was real though, that a young man was allegedly shot by a SARS officer in Ogele town of Delta State. It turned out that that was fake, that the young man was in a vehicle, he's in a hospital recovering, and all of that. But because of the uproar it created, obviously it brought new attention, which we're happy about, brought new attention to the issue of SARS reform. And so now, now that this ban is in place, later in the week, we should have a very clear and tangible set of steps that we're going to take in terms of institutional reform so that we can uproot and prosecute to a logical conclusion every member of the Nigeria police force who is found to be engaging in any kind of criminal conduct. But I think it's also important to mention very quickly that dealing with institutional reform and dealing with criminal-minded members of the police force is one thing. It's also important for us who are in the public domain analyzing these issues to also understand that you have a situation where killers and cultists who have never been recruited by the police force, who have never been members of the police force, who are using the SARS presentation in Mufti to be able to hide disguise themselves as SARS members, mounting roadblocks and all of that, extorting people, killing people and all of that, presenting themselves as SARS officers who are not SARS officers. This is a major issue that's happening in the country, and we're only focused in on SARS officers as if all of the abuses are happening by actual SARS officers, when that's not the case. So that's important for us, and that is why a major part of the institutional reform is the stoppage of use of Mufti for members of the SARS and other security arms of the police, so that we can make sure that every person who is a member of the police force is clearly designated with specifically designed and allocated outfits and equipment by the Nigerian police force.
All right, Ajuri, the question on the lips of most Nigerians has to do with the sustainability of this new directive, the workability implementability of this new directive, because it's not the first time such a directive is given, and somewhere along the line it just fizzles out like every other one. Hello, Jury.
Yes, that is definitely.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
great.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a phenomenon, and so for us, that's why I mentioned earlier that when you have transitions and some of these institutions take a back seat and something takes the front seat. So what the vice president is doing is saying, look, this cannot afford to take back seat. This should be front seat because we're alive, innocent Nigerians, particularly Nigerian youths. And so another major aspect of the reform is not just about uprooting and prosecuting criminal elements. It's also about making sure that the good officers, those who are dutiful and diligent and patriotic, who are doing their jobs properly, that they also are trained on the rules and procedures guiding their operations. Because it's possible to be a good officer who is trying to do the right thing. But in the process of trying to do the right thing, you end up going beyond your scope by dealing with issues that your unit of the police has nothing to do with. So for example, with Sars, you may have a very good Sars officer, right, whose job is obviously to deal with issues of robbery, right? But now he's getting involved in economic crimes. He's trying to get somebody's phone, trying to seize somebody's laptop, trying to work on issues of 419 and all of that, when in fact the rules and procedures and terms of reference for his own unit of the police force have nothing to do with economic fraud, economic crimes, and the like. And so we have to be very careful about also, as part of the reform effort, making sure that each of the units stick to their mandates and under no circumstance go beyond their mandates. If we do that, we would have cut out a lot of the maiming of young people, the seizure of young people's items, and really putting young people in cells who should not be in cells, and all of the nonsense that we have seen. We will be cutting a lot of that out if our officers all know exactly what it is they should be doing, how they should be doing it, when they should be doing it.
The question too has been at the front burner, which has to do with why did it take the government so long to respond to this SARS menace, in spite of the fact that on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, several reports have been coming forth on their dastardly act, how they terrorize, harass Nigerians. I mean, the case you mentioned in Ughelli, was it that, you said it's fake news, was it that the young man wasn't shot? Was it that the young man?
No, the situation in Ughelli, was fake news. That's just, this is not propaganda. That is what it is. It's fake news. If you say something happened and it didn't happen, it's called fake news. The news as it came out, right, was that a young man was just minding his business, walking on the side of the road. This is what was reported.
Okay.
So this is what officer came, shot him in the head, killed him, took his car, and ran away with the young man's car who he killed.
Yeah.
That is the story that was out there. Now, what actually happened? Young man did not have a car. He was not shot. He was not killed. He is alive. He was arrested for something, right? And then for somehow, in the process of, I don't know what the issue was about how he came down from the vehicle, but in the process of coming down from a vehicle while the vehicle was moving, he was injured. So that is a clear, anybody who is dispassionate and unbiased knows that is what
himself. Actually, just a moment. Injured by who? Did he injure
yes,
himself? Or the police
the
injured
investigation.
him? Or the
Yes,
officials injured him?
Yes, the investigation into that is ongoing as we speak. We do not know. As soon as we know, we will definitely get that out to the public. We don't know. What we know is that the initial story that was told was totally false. That is what we know.
All right, Ajuru, let me thank you for sharing your time with us on TMI ITV Benin. Thank you for your time.
God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, that has been the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Ajuri Ngalale, sharing some thought with us on the latest development as it relates with the banning of Sars from carrying out some of their routine works. They will only be needed once they are called upon. My panelists is still here, Peter Osage Holo and Barrister Sani Daudu and Neville Obagoda. I'd like you to just quickly, because you were so uneasy on your seat.
I am very uneasy. But first of all, let me thank you for even contributing in some part. I'm sure that in the past 1 year you've been seeing my billboard everywhere.
Yes.
Not because.
Okay. Now let me
because I'm advertising to contest elections.
Let me pause you. Let me just pause you because we need to do something quickly now, and we'll be right back to conclude this conversation. It's the TMI Monday. Please stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
TMI. Every opinion counts.
Thanks again for staying with us on TMI. Now we conclude our discussion on the new directives banning SARS from carrying out certain illegal activities to stay focused on the original mandate. Panelists are still here. Let me come to Peter Osage Iholo. You wanted to react to some of the issues that the Senior Special Assistant to the President talked about a while ago. Yeah.
Well, I thank you for calling in, but we've seen it very often, a time that when we leave our constituency, we become assigned either to the government of the state or the presidency. We forget about our constituency. I've always followed him. I've always read about him. But he's a master spinner. This is not the time to spin. It's the time to face reality. I think what I should expect him to say more is concentrate and focus on how we're going to retrain our police. For him saying that some courtists or some other hoodlums, we have to forge some police uniform, SARS uniform and patrol. Who's responsible for that? That's a serious indictment to the government. That shows that the police institutions have failed. If you cannot identify the research from the courtists, that's an indictment to the government himself. I'm not a lawyer, but common sense can tell you that. Okay. And however, having said that, I think the real thing to do here is for us to speak more, speak loud, talk every other time, because these police are the human beings. They're also parents. I think they need our prayers. These are more than wickedness or greed or such. I think they are sick people. Because if you are not sick, you cannot give responsibility to police society to make sure there is law and order, and you will not become the principal violator of law and order. So something must be missing here. Something must be wrong. And also, I also say that our vice president did not speak. In this issue on time because they wanted to bury this under the carpet. I want to shout out to JC, Davido, Whiskey, and Olamide, and other meaningful Nigerians who have been in this aims of affair that things must change. Listen, I just told you that over a year now, you have been seeing my billboard in various parts of this state, and this costs me money. And I can tell you that every other children that is killed here by a straight bullet, I'm affected by it, even though they are not directly related to me. Okay. My children are not here; they are abroad. But that doesn't mean I should undermine the children who have been killed indiscriminately by the SARS or by the police trigger lovers. But again, let me just quickly make this before I let you talk to the other panel. You said something that was very important. Why did it take this too long? Why did this take this too long? And he's trying to blame it again on the past IG that, governance has to be continuous. It doesn't have to be that if you start something here today, under IGP comes there, we will not continue with it. But lastly, I want to also thank the Lagos State governor, and I also want to beg our governor here, Governor Obaseki, to also take a lead from that. Because these are your citizens that is being murdered, that is being humiliated, that is being embarrassed every other day. Because the state government is also very powerful. You can also tell the federal police that I do not want you in my state if you're not going to respect the citizens, the rights of my citizens. Yeah. So Governor Obaseki should hold on to his responsibility and speak for his citizens at this time around.
Thank you very much. Barrister Daudu, going forward, sustaining this new directive, what's your advice?
Well, thank you. But I want to just react a little, then I will proceed from there. The Senior Special Assistant to the Vice President, I think he was too hasty to conclude that the news was fake, because he does not have the full facts as to who injured the
young man
and whether or not the young man attempted to run out from the vehicle. So if you don't have these facts, you cannot come to the public domain to regard such news as fake. Because I watched the news, I saw a policeman beside the vehicle, and some persons were also reacting violently to the incidents. What he would have stated is that where the situation is being investigated now, so that when they have the full reports of what actually transpired, then of course you can tell the public this is what really happened, and that news was not correct in respect to the situations that transpired. So it was hasty for him, with due respect, for coming to that conclusion that the news was fake. Now, going forward, you see, as I've earlier stated, is that the directive should be followed squarely. A monitoring team, which is a task force now, should be established in all divisions, in all units of the police authority to monitor compliance. This is not to say that the SARS are not doing well. That is not what we said. What we have said is that they deviated from the core mandate for which the SARS department was established. Yes, if they stick to their core mandate, yes, they are doing well. But when you deviate, you now act on traverse your past. That is where we have problems with the SARS. So going forward, the federal government should match action with words by setting up a task force to monitor compliance, to ensuring that these SARS do not violate the rights of citizens. And when they violate, they should be tried.
Okay. All right, Navil, one of the major pull-out from the directive by the IGP is that the CP in charge of FSARS, the state commands, the tactical commands, then of course the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of the zones will all be held responsible on account of any action perpetrated by any of these officers under their jurisdiction. What do you make of that? Isn't that getting everybody involved in terms of monitoring and ensuring that the right thing is done?
Well, first and foremost, the Nigeria police, before the various units were created, whether legal department, whether state CID, whether federal CID, whether administration, there's what we call the Police Act and the Police Ordinance that specify the rules and regulations and the professional conduct expected from policemen. Or during recruitment, the Nigeria police do not recruit people into SARS. They recruit people into the Nigeria police. Therefore, the police, they will not say, go to SARS. They can say tomorrow, go to active kidnapping, and so on and so forth. So, first and foremost, the police need training and retraining. From time to time, as the society is changing and various forms of crimes are coming up, the police need to be trained to be able to know the way and manner to tackle these emerging crimes, especially as it relates to other parts of the world, international policing standard. That is that. Talking about the directive and the way and manner the directive is covering, or the scope that is covering concerning AIGs, Police Commissioner of the State, the Federal SARS Commissioner, and the rest of them. Well, the Nigeria police is the Nigeria police. There is what we call rules of professional conduct, and there is punishment for misconduct. So any policeman, whether under SARS or not under SARS, who has violated or abused the powers that have been given to him based on his professional duty as a policeman, he should be brought to book. Talking about bringing policemen to book, our people at home should know the areas, the offices, the places they are going to report when violation of their rights is carried out by policemen, whether SARS or other regular police officers. Okay. I will give you an instance just now, where even if you report a case, the police may not take action. They would like to cover up their personnel or their officers. On 18th of October 2018, my younger cousin was killed in this neighborhood. There's one company they call Akogate. That was where he was killed. And the investigation that was done pointed to his co-workers who killed him. Because I was the complainant, my brother briefed me about how his colleagues were threatening him before he was killed. I made the report to the police. First, I take care of the law. Then later, the matter was transferred to homicide unit at the state command. And I shed tears before the whole world when I saw the way and manner the OC Sars then, the OC homicide then, with the head of legal department, killed the case. They wrote a report. Autopsy was done, which cost us over 120,000 at the UBTH. And you will see from the autopsy the way and manner that my younger cousin was brutally killed by his colleagues. But the police covered it up. When they wrote their report that was going to be taken to DPP, they said, I requested for the dead body without autopsy. Because when the new commissioner of police came, I went to meet him. I said, my brother that was killed still in the mortuary. What is the police doing about it? And they are covering this matter up. He said they should bring the report. They brought the report and they read it, that the complainant wrote that autopsy should not be conducted. And I said, wait a minute, let me get to my car, get autopsy report. You will see it just now. When I brought the report, the man is the IG of police now. He felt like weeping and immediately ordered a reinvestigation to the matter. The same police people covered up that matter till date as we are speaking. I wrote to IG, this same IG that is giving directives now. Till today, no reply from the Inspector General of Police. Till this very moment. Then there's a place, there's one website and WhatsApp number that the police at the headquarters have. If you have complaint about police, just complain to them directly. I complain to them, no response.
Okay.
So what we are trying to say is that even though the police is giving directive that this is the way, this should be the rule of engagement, and that officers should be held responsible. These officers, they have a web of relationship.
And that's going to be a problem.
Yes, that is a problem.
Okay, let's hope that this new directive.
So they should work with civil society organization,
of course,
to expose any police officer that will be covering up a crime.
Okay, thank you very much. That's why we draw the curtains on this segment of the show. I'll be back in a moment to talk with the Prince builders and real estate developers here on a commercial interview. Naveed, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Daudu, thank you for coming.
I'm grateful.
Peter Tsage-Hola, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, viewers.
We'll take a short break. I'll be right back with you on the program.